Okay. Recording is started.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, Carla, over to you.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Thanks for being with us today. I'm Carla Lane. I'm FGDLA's, excuse me, yours is losing her voice, but I'm FGDLA's Vice President for the Higher Education Sector and the moderator for today's webinar. FGDLA is a nonprofit. We're a professional association formed to promote the development and the application of distance learning in the federal government. We actively foster collaboration and understanding among those involved in leveraging technology and instructional media in support of the education and training needs of the federal government. Our membership is derived primarily from individuals employed by the agencies within the federal government. We invite you to join with us in this exciting field. You can find our membership application on fgdla.us. So for upcoming events, you want to switch the slide, Kelly? For upcoming events on November 16th, Sadney Wagner will discuss distance learning instructional strategies used by the Defense Language Institute's Foreign Language Center. On December 14th, Dr. Melissa Dickman will hold a 2-hour workshop on helping subject matter experts create strong courses when they have little to no background as an instructional designer. And we just firmed up a session for January that will be on Moodle and the government use of Moodle. So I think that will be an interesting one. So we're beginning to line up all the things that we'll be doing in 2023. And we are so proud that Zoom is one of our brand new and wonderful sponsors. We'd like to thank Zoom and Russ Colbert for sponsoring today's seminar. They are the best partners that we could have, and they're one of our new and valued sponsors. Russ, thank you so much for doing this again today. We appreciate it.
Very welcome, Carla. Very welcome. And for those of you in the audience, you might notice that we have enabled your cameras and your audio. So we're doing this under the meetings platform as compared to the webinars platform. And that's so that any of you can feel free to either chat or ask questions verbally, or raise your hand, or use any of the reactions to communicate directly with Kelly, our speaker today. So Carla, thank you very much for having us with you.
Thank you, Russ. The other thing is that you will get a link to this. And if you would like to share the link with someone else, feel free. We'd like to help as many people become really good instructional designers as possible, and particularly with this topic that Kelly's going to be describing today. And so today's topic is about producing microlearning. We have an expert in the field to provide the training. It's Kelly Barrett, who has been with the IRS for 23 years, and he spent 13 of those years focusing on e-learning and microlearning development for training. He has been one of our favorite speakers for the FGDLA webinars. Kelly has received the FGDLA's Pioneer Award, as well as the Training Officers Consortium Innovation Award. Kelly, we're so happy you could develop this session for FGDLA. Thank you and welcome, and for being with us today, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Unfortunately, this is a little bad timing for me. I've come down with a cold, and so I apologize now for any weird noises that may or may not come out of me during this session. And I do like to have fun during my sessions, and I do like that this will be a little more interactive. So I do highly encourage participation. I do have a series of questions to ask. It is a workshop, and so hopefully those of you out there do have Adobe Audition or some sort of audio editing software installed already. And we're going to be using Camtasia as well for producing our video. So I'm going to be literally going through the process that I go through on almost a daily basis for producing some of our shots videos here at the IRS. Just a little bit about me also is that I started, and I'll go to the next slide. There we go. I started the SHOTS, stands for Self-Help Online Tutorials, almost 9 years ago now when I started this program at the IRS. And I was an e-learning project manager doing course development. And at the time, you know, our budget had been slashed, and everybody was like, we got to convert all of our paper training courses to e-learning. And so we were busy trying to convert a lot of paper courses over, and because there was no money for travel. And we were doing like, I remember doing slide like 5 of 80. And I was like, I just felt bad for whoever had to take this course because I mean, 80 slides is a lot of content, and it's very difficult to remember that much content, especially weeks, months later. It's practically disappears and it doesn't, and it leaves your memory if you don't apply it right away. So I was thinking, there's outside of work, and we're actually going to talk about this in a second, but I was like, there's got to be a better way to help people learn faster and more efficiently and more effectively, I would even say. So how many of you, this is one of my favorite pictures in the world, how many of you have ever felt like this person after attending a formal training class at your organization? And you can put it in chat, but
You can use your reactions if you like.
exactly. Yep.
You can say me.
Yes. Like I
You can
said,
do any of those things.
this is a interactive session.
Is that warm water or cold water?
Oh, I'm sure it's cold.
Mm.
It's a fire hose. There's no way that's warm water. Yeah. So, especially if you get into some of the training that I've been through when I got a new job as like a tax examiner or what have you, it was 8 hours a day for a week or two straight. And somebody once told me he went to training and he told the instructor, if I have to learn one more piece of information, I'm going to have to forget my wife's name to fit it in. And I loved that story. I was like, I'm using that. And he's like, please do. Because honestly, that's what training feels like, is just TMI, way too much information in a very condensed chunk of time. And I'm a big foodie. I love food. And I like to compare our brains very much to our stomachs. They invented sliced bread for a reason. So you can eat a slice at a time, a piece at a time. I also like to compare our brains to colanders. The more you put in, the more that falls out. And that's especially true for information for trainings, virtual, in classroom, doesn't matter. If it's too much, it gets lost. Our brains cannot take it all in, just can't. And so we've got to find a better way to help our students learn. And if anybody has any thoughts, please put it in the chat. Any comments, please go off of mute. But like I said, I do want this to be interactive. And I'm actually going to stop my video just because I know I'm pretty and all, but I don't want to have to sneeze in front of you or anything like that. And I find, honestly, being on camera is more distracting, and I'd rather have you all focusing on the content than my pretty face. So
while you're sneezing, I'll say something about that whole front-loaded new hire training. The other bad part about having too much front-loaded new hire training is the professional trainees, the people who hop from job to job. They sit for the 3-month, 4-month, 6-month training period, and then just when they're getting ready to be assigned to work, they quit and they get another job. And that is a big burden. I know coming from the private sector, that was a big problem because, well, it's expensive.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. We the new hire training, I had one lady tell me that she'd worked in a grocery store and got more training on how to bag groceries than at her job. And I was like, yikes. Um, it is interesting. And a lot of times the instructors that are asked to instruct, they are not professionally trained. They're just the person that's been there the longest. They're just told, go teach this class. And their main priority is to get through their lesson. That's all they care about, is to get through the lesson. So there's a lot, you may make the best training course and the best material, but if the instructor is just trying to get through it, just to get through it, there's no way those students are going to be understanding if the instructor doesn't care that they're understanding. They just want to get through their lesson. So yeah, it's interesting. Our current state of training, I would say. So in doing micro learning, I came up with this model, and I've presented this previously, but I thought it'd be good to just refresh. I call it the Maskey model. And the first thing is you have to do a micro analysis. And what I mean is you really have to break it down. The steps and the processes that you're trying to get across. I had a customer come to me, and they're like, we want to do this training video, shot video on how to fill out a particular form. And I was like, okay. But in their storyboard, they have how to find the form, and then they went into how to fill it out. And I came back to them and said, no, this needs to be 2 separate videos. And they're like, why? It's super quick and easy how to find the form. I'm like, that may be true, but with these videos, somebody's launching the video on how to fill it out because of the title is how to fill it out. And they most likely have the form up in front of them already. So how annoying would that be that they launch this video and the first 30 seconds is how to find the form when they already have it open in front of them? So we'll make another video on how to find the form. And if 30 seconds long, great. The shorter, the better. And then they can watch the next video in our library, which is how to fill it out. And that's what we mean by micro, breaking it down and analyzing your steps and turning them into smaller chunks. Another example is we did a shots video on servant leadership. And I believe there's 10 characteristics of a good servant leader. We could have made one huge, really, really long training or shots video on all the characteristics of being a servant leader. Instead, we did a quick, brief, high-level overview of what a servant leader is, and then we did each of the characteristics as their own video. Because the manager or leader may be really good at listening, but may be not so strong at being empathetic. So why force them through characteristics that they're really good with when they can just get the pieces that they need to help them be a better empathetic leader or listener or a better listener or whatever their shortcomings are. So that was really good. And so it's been really an excellent system. And I see Sandy asked if we tried an experiential learning approach. I honestly think that this hits that level because, because go ahead.
Yeah, no, Kelly. Well, just because I spent years in faculty development at DLI, and I'm still, I do a lot of that. But even with those videos, and I totally agree with your micro learning, although what I have found, we started with, this is how you turn on your computer. This goes way back. So I'm on board there. Sometimes though, you can get too micro and, again, you're working with videos, you've got constraints. So I get it though. You have to go down to the lowest level of user. But I find that if you have people experience something first, may not work with everything, then that gets that buy-in, and it goes back to your first point about the teachers just wanting to get through the lesson, and then that also goes to making it meaningful. So, and I not so much with the form, but rationale, to just, have them pull it up in a chat or do it before.
Right.
It really does get buy-in to the point where they're waiting for the next thing because they're going, oh, I see how I can do this, and
Hmm.
this might be beneficial. You know, again,
Hmm.
it depends on the degree, but
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I appreciate that point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we actually do that.
Mm,
That's one of the greatest benefits, I would say, of these shots videos is that they can be embedded
yeah,
into a formal training.
yeah.
But 6 months later, when you're like, I need to apply this, and I've forgotten everything, but I do remember there's some videos in there, and then you can come out to our library and get that immediate refreshment on the specifics, the steps. Um, and you can also, like you said, send it out as a preview to a meeting, a preview to a training. And again, it's available after the fact, 24/7, 365. So it has been awesome to provide that for our employees. And then we asked our SMEs to storyboard. That is sometimes a challenge. And I saw that course coming up with FGDLA on how to be a SME and how to work as a SME. That'd be a great course for, I think, everyone to take that is asked to be a SME, because it's not, especially making a shots video, it's not your typical course development request or storyboard. It is that short, to the point, condensed, concise content. It's the need to know and leave out the nice to know, which you normally would put into a more formal training course. So that's what helps us keep our videos short. Typically, we want our videos to be 3 minutes or less. That's it. Typically. Sometimes the process is the process, and you have to go 4 minutes, maybe 5 at the most. But that's it. I mean, but we really try to keep it 3 minutes or less. And then we send that storyboard to our shots trained developers. So to create a shots video, you have to, at least at the IRS, you have to be trained by my team to create shots videos for maybe a different organization or business unit within our within the IRS. And we've trained over 50 people over the years, because why be the bottleneck for the IRS when we can train other people in their business units who already know the work and how to do it, and let them be the ones to develop the shots videos for their group. But
Can an IRS employee volunteer to be trained to work with you?
absolutely, they can. It is up to their management, of course. And well, I say we trained 50 people. The number of actual active shots developers is maybe a dozen. And when I ask those that have been trained, hey, what happened? Why aren't you creating shots videos? It's always the same. I'm too busy. My manager doesn't, I have my actual job I have to do. Shots is more of a nicety, um, and not a formal like organization, like not like an L&E group where that's your only job. When we train these other people, it's like a side gig, so to speak. Um, so yes, they absolutely can volunteer and attend our training, but they do have to have their management approval first and get the right software installed and all that stuff. Yes, good question.
Thank you.
So then they create, those shots developers create the videos, depending on what type, and then we implement it. Just recently, we've had to change where we store our videos, and we are now storing them on SharePoint Online, and we'll be using Microsoft Stream to play back our videos on SharePoint. So that is new for us, and we're having to migrate over 750 videos from our old video server, because that contract had ended, to SharePoint Online. So we're a little busy over here right now. Not to mention all of our ongoing projects that we're working on. All right. There's really two types of shots videos that we produce, and I just saw the question, what video software? And we use Camtasia to create our videos, so I wanted to answer that real quick. And we do two types: demonstrations, which are the how-to videos, like on Microsoft Teams, on how to input your time, how to, figure out a retirement estimates and how to input your retirement requests. Lots of videos on how-tos where we go step by step. We record the screens live. We narrate as we do it, and then produce the videos. Again, short, small steps, one action per process. What I'll be demonstrating in this workshop today is the presentation-based videos. And these are more information sharing. They're more soft skills, if you want to put it that way. And this is like equity, diversity, and inclusion. Leadership, as I mentioned already. We have a video on alternative work schedules, 549s, those types of things. Plus many, many, many more, like our drug-free workplace program. Just, again, 750 videos worth between these two types of shots we have out there for our employees. And like I said, it's caught wildfire. I mean, I just recently got approached by a group in IT who said that shots was included in their executives' commitments for the next year to develop shots videos. So it's crazy how far and how big it's blown up into. And yeah. And it's gone even outside the IRS. Obviously, I'm presenting to y'all today, and I love it. I just love doing shots. Well, that didn't sound right. I love creating shots
and doing shots, both.
Yes.
I like doing shots too.
COVID shots?
It sure
No.
beats.
No. Okay.
It sure beats.
Okay.
It sure beats working, is what I like to say. And it's job security, honestly, because our systems, our applications are constantly changing. And so those old shots get obsoleted, and we have to make new ones on the new system and the new process and the new programs. So it's a never ending stream of work for sure.
How do you cull through those things that become obsolete and replace them? Does somebody in another department tell you that, or do you do it?
Yes, largely. We have feedback that we collect as well from people that have viewed our shots videos, because we want to know, are they reaching people? Are they effective? Are people enjoying them? And so sometimes we'll get comments like, this screen is different, or things like that. Or the program owner will come and say, hey, this is all changing. We've got to delete these, and we're making new ones, so stand by. So yes, yeah, all of the above.
Yeah. Hattie, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was wondering if they were 508 compliant, if you had a closed caption script, and if you made text alternative as well.
Excellent question. And yes. They are 508 compliant, mainly through, we used to do it through Camtasia, because Camtasia, you can add closed captions into the video. And if you launch the files that are produced by Camtasia, then you get the closed captioning embedded with the video. However, with SharePoint Online, you're not allowed to launch any HTML files out of SharePoint Online. So we were not able to do that. But actually, it ended up being a blessing in disguise, because having to close caption yourself in Camtasia is a rather tedious process. But now with Microsoft Stream, they have a automatic transcription generator that is, I kid you not, it's like 95% accurate. It's really, really close. And it punctuates, it capitalizes, it's really good. There's some acronyms that it's not going to pick up, and some things that it may miss. So we have to go and you can download the VTT file, Victor Tango. But it definitely works. It's really, really good. And so it's already embedded with the video. The closed caption button is on top of the video. And the transcript that displays next to the video, if you display the transcript, is actually interactive. So if you click on a line of text, the video will jump to that point in the video. So it's actually really, really cool. And Hattie's right. It only picks up the voice, not physical description. That's true. What we do and what we train our shots developers to do is to narrate location. So if you're talking about, click the apply button, if that's all you say, then somebody that's visually impaired is like, where? Where's that apply button? I have no idea. So we always try to narrate location into our script. So if you say click the apply button, we always try to say in the bottom right corner of the screen or bottom right corner of the window. If you're talking about a field that has to be entered, we always try to label that field, or click the drop down next to the address field, things like that. So we try to make it as interactive and 5-way compliant as possible, behind the scenes as well. So when we're doing our microanalysis, you only want one. And I talked about that earlier, only one option or one topic, one process per video. You want to cut out the fluff. What fluff do you think might be cut out? What could count as fluff? Again, you can put it in chat, or you can
Chit chat. Any chit chat that goes on. Is that a proper term? Chit chat?
maybe in a
Hello.
classroom. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Like an introductory thing. Yeah.
Oh, just like hello, good morning, how are you doing?
Right.
Just any words that gets exchanged, or any small talk that would occur.
Yeah. I like these chat comments too. Sanaa
Mhm.
says the history of the topic. Amen. Like, seriously, nobody cares about when this law was passed or what regulation this applies to. All they care about is, what do I need to do my job? Just tell me. That's all I need to know. I don't care about how long you've been working at this project. Like, nobody cares. So yeah, leave out the historic stuff. It doesn't add to anything. I like Kim's answer. Anything that does not contribute to learning. Exactly. And honestly, the only learning objective in a shot video should be the title of the video. That is your learning objective, is the title. So it could be, entering your time in Setter. That's what you're going to learn in this video, is how to enter your time. Setter is our timekeeping application. Sorry. I'm so used to acronyms at the IRS. The title of the video is your objective. There should only be one objective per video. That's it. Alternative ways of completing a task. Yeah, like there is sometimes a million ways to skin the cat, as they say. Do not show all those ways in the video. Show the most common way, or the most proper way, and just leave it at that. And the description. Excellent point, Hattie. The description of the video also tells you what you're going to learn in that video. And again, people are seeing this in the library. That's why they're clicking on it. That buy-in somebody mentioned earlier, it's already there when you watch these videos, because you clicked on it. Nobody went and told you to click on it. You went to the site, you did a search, you found topics that related to what you're looking for, hopefully, and you clicked on the video because you expected to learn what that video is about. So it's awesome. Honestly, the buy-in, it's built in to every single video. And then somebody talked about the experiential. You watch a video and then you do it in the live application. There's no need for simulations. Simulations are fake. People tend to ignore fake. So you're watching the video, you're in the live application. Guess what? you're going to be paying attention because you don't want to mess it up. You're in the live application. And so you're watching the video of the live application and you pause it, you do the step, you play it, you do the next step, pause it, and then you're done by the end of the video. And now you've learned by doing. They hit all aspects of learning, 100%. I honestly believe it's the way of the future for learning, not training, but learning, on-demand learning.
So Kelly, I didn't understand this about shots before. So you're saying somebody's got a form open and they don't know how to fill in a field. And so somehow they find the little shots video about how to do that field. It
Yep.
opens up, they look at it and they close it and then they finish filling in the form. Is that the process?
Yeah, absolutely. It could absolutely, like I said before, if it was on how to fill out a form, like for instance, our whistleblower office, they have a form that depending on what business unit you work in, depends on which section of the form you fill out. And so they actually did a separate shot video for each business unit or each section of the form to teach that area how to fill out that particular section of that form. Exactly
Is it
right.
also a database if haven't done that form before, so I can go and say, show me each individual thing for that and they would watch that? Or do you always recommend that they have the form open along with the videos to the side?
We don't, it's whatever is going to be the most beneficial and effective to that person.
So it could be either.
Yeah, either way, it's they're in control because these videos are available to everyone 365 24/7.
Mhm.
So they can launch a video anytime they need it, when they need it. And then complete the action, complete the process in real time. The worst thing I hear is you have to attend training. Why? Because it's the only time it's offered. Well, that's not a reason to attend training. That's like the worst reason. Because if you don't need it, your buy-in's not there, and your attention span is definitely not there. And the information you just went to training, but it's in your history. They got that magic green check mark. You took that class, but I couldn't tell you 5 days later what was in it because I was not paying attention because it did not relate to me or my job or anything that I needed to learn. So
Another thing
yeah,
that is not as useful as something like a job aid. So you can download a PDF in a couple of places where I work. That job aid could be 10, 15 full pages long, and it has all the pictures in it of the form that I might have to be filling out or the process that I need to be following. But as you're saying, it has nothing to do. Then I close that, or maybe I'm able to keep it open and I go find the form and then look back and forth between the two. But again, it's not as convenient and not as
No.
useful as what you're describing.
Right. And honestly, people don't like to read anymore. I know, right? Like honestly, how many of you have opened up a really long email and you read the first 2 paragraphs and got the gist and like, okay, I'm done. And I'm too tired. I can't read anymore. I move on. And then your manager comes back and says, hey, where's this thing I asked for in that big long email that I put at the very end of the email? Yeah. And you're like, oh, I didn't get that far. Sorry.
Hattie's got a question. Hattie,
yeah.
Yeah. So there are some products out there that you're talking about filling in forms. We don't do a lot of that. But if you have a tool like that, what they'll do is they'll put those little speech bubbles throughout your form, and that will immediately open up this type of video or job aid or whatever. Have you guys looked into that at all? Because these videos would be perfect for that kind of a situation.
They would. I don't know that we have the ability to add those speech bubbles, at least at the IRS, because we're very locked down on the software we can use. But if you had, yeah, right. But if you had that application, that ability, for sure, 100%, that would be awesome. We do have our revenue manual, the IRM, Internal Revenue Manual.
Oh boy,
online.
the famous ERM.
Yep.
I know that. I know that ERM.
And it's online, it's electronic. And at some point, we would love to put in a show me link within embedded throughout that document that would do exactly what you're saying, is to pop up a quick video that relates to that action or if then table or whatever the case may be.
Might be worth your while to research because that commercial software is out there. I don't know what the current stuff is. I've been out of private for about 15 years now, but they've been using it.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. And then keep it short and simple. I'm going to jump into, I know we only have 2 hours. It feels like a long time, but it goes really fast. So when we're doing our storyboard, and again, I'm focusing on the presentation-based videos for this workshop anyway. Again, these are the soft skills types of information, because they too can easily be turned into a quick 3-minute or less shot video. And so what we ask is usually no more than 10 slides in the PowerPoint. That's it. And then narration, we do ask for a script in this case. We usually say put it in the notes section of the slide, but it should be no longer than 2 sentences per slide. I'll just sit there and let that sink in a little bit. Only 2 sentences per slide. Why do you think I would?
Slide, or is that the script?
That's the script per slide.
And so, but on the slide, would you use sentences or would you use phrases?
No sentences.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yes.
just wanted to hear you say it.
we're getting to that. We're getting to that. But the narration is what is most important. It's where the information is being relayed, is through the narration. So that is the content. And the reason why we only say 2 sentences per slide is shots are videos. Videos should not sit. They should not be stuck on a slide that doesn't move for 30 seconds because you have paragraphs of script. It does not what a video is. Video should be constantly moving, constantly changing, constantly, something visually should be changing and happening quickly, within like 8 seconds, I think it is, or 6 seconds. It's like, it needs to be quick. So by limiting our SMEs to 2 sentences per slide, it really makes them have to condense, concise, get to the meat of what they're trying to relay.
So who's the sentence police? Who goes and looks at that? You?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, because we always look at the storyboard, obviously, before we go to record it. And we'll read it out loud. And actually I'm jumping ahead, so I'm gonna skip that. But yeah, we do. We look at that, especially, and the worst thing we'll see is SMEs will take and copy and paste from some job aid, as you mentioned, or some technical manual, and just paste that in as the script, and it's bulleted, and you're like, this is not a complete sentence. I cannot narrate this. What are you doing? So we have to go back and say, nope, this is not what we need. And we really put it on them to not only give us the script, but it needs to be conversational. It needs to read like you're explaining it to a friend. And that's what we tell people, is write it conversationally, please. Because the people listening to it on the other end of the video don't want to be talked at, they want to be talked to. So that comes from the script and the narration. So if, when you are designing your slide, minimal text, if any, following the 6x6 rule, which is no more than 6 points of information on a slide, and those points of information should be no more than 6 words long. And this presentation follows that rule. If you look at these slides, I have 5 on this one, 5 points of information, and none of these points are longer than 6 words.
Mm-hmm.
We use videos largely, or images if needed, or what I'm trying to say, infographics, things like that the customer might, like, we need to show this infographic. Okay, fine. Those types of things will allow. But no clip art. We're not in kindergarten, people. Like, come on. Like, make it realistic. People react to that. They like to see realistic images. But videos is, and when I first started, it was all still images, which is, okay, still images. Picture says 1,000 words. But videos, stock videos, that I've now considered calling these videos, shots 2.0, because videos really add to the dimensions of our overall shots video. And that's what I'll be demonstrating today. And then provide the links either at the end, resources, or in the description of the video to the nice to know information. If they really want to learn more, if they're really gung-ho about it, then send them out to the additional information so they can research it on their own. But the core information is what they'll find in this video. All right. So this is like an example of a storyboard that we did for AWS, mentioned before. You can see that there's only 2 sentences in the narration. This may be a little small, I apologize. But there's 2 sentences in the narration. We've got a graphic on the slide. And then the other slides, even though you can't have an image for everything, obviously. So there are times you're going to have text on the screen. So we have like a title of the slide, title text of the slide, just to kind of add some flow to the overall video. But even though I have text on the slides, like 2, 3, 4, even this one, it's a blackboard. It's still an image. It's a blackboard image sitting on top of my background. And then I put text on top of the blackboard. So it's still a graphic based visual way of relaying information. But the one thing I never ever do is put bullets, ever. Like, I never put bullets on my slides, because as soon as you see a bullet, you're like, boring, I'm checking out. So I don't do bullets ever. I do like this slide 3. I don't know if you can see that, but it's staggered. I try to do it in a visually interesting way. Like, there's nothing. You want to keep their attention, and you want to be somewhat creative in your design of slides. And if it's just text, use smart art, use different tools to your benefit.
What is smart art?
It's a tool in PowerPoint. It's embedded in PowerPoint. That is, if I go to this previous slide, this is smart art. So these, oh dang it, I'm not in the present. I'm not in the edit mode, but yes, that is smart art. So I can add or take away these bubbles easily and quickly using the smart art in PowerPoint.
Mhm.
And again, I'm not using bullets, but it still allows me to provide information. And then I can, as I did earlier, I can fade it in and animate it, whatever, each individual element. And so like this one, I have a backboard on the screen. And on this one, we are talking about once you get your storyboard from your customer, and Kim put in the chat, thank you, Kim. Once you get your storyboard from the developer, from the SME, and you're good with it, you've made your design updates and suggestions, and they're good with it, get approvals from all stakeholders first before you record. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how many times this has come up where the customer comes to you and says, yep, my manager's good with it. Okay, you record. And then you send the video back for them to view the final product and get the final approval of the video. And it gets sent on to like 3 other people that were never part of the approval process before, but they're like other stakeholders are like, oh, I don't like how that was said, or this term needs to be changed. And you're like, seriously? Why were they not part of the approval process before we recorded? And so now you're trying to update the recording and the narration, which I'm sorry, your voice changes from day to day, even throughout the day, what you eat, different things like that. And so when you try to go and re-record a piece of audio, like you're adding it or changing it from the original, it's going to sound weird, a little bit different. Like, why did his voice change all of a sudden? It never sounds right, usually. So we hate that. So get approvals from everyone that needs to approve it and see it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to save the PowerPoint once it's fully designed and ready as image files. And I'm going to show that here in a second. And then the narration, we're going to record using Adobe Audition or whatever audio recording software you may have. And we're going to record one slide's narration per audio file. It just makes it so much easier to line up and to sync when we put it together in Camtasia. Any questions so far?
Or you can just record one and slice it up. It's easier to control your editing that way.
You can, yes, you can, absolutely. Yes, that is absolutely true. And I'm not going to say that there's only one way to edit audio. There's multiple ways of doing it. You just have to find the method that you like and that you're comfortable with. 100%. Somebody mentioned using Storyline, the Robo Voice. I don't like the Robo Voice personally. I like realistic.
No one likes Robo Voice. It's only for the temporary, because I don't want to have to record and then re-record and then re-record. And your reviewers, no matter how many times you tell them it's going to be audio, have no imagination, and they won't actually review unless they hear it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I have a follow-on with that, Kelly. If you do use RoboVoice for that purpose, I've done that in the past, and people have completely freaked out because they're like, "Oh, we can't use this," and then they're like so poo-pooing on the whole idea because they don't realize that this isn't what we're doing.
Right.
It's just a preview.
Right.
So
I
you've
tell
got to
them.
be. Yeah, I mean, I've told them in the past, but then they send it to somebody else and don't tell them that.
Oh, and I leave a big fat label in the front that says
So-
RoboVoice is temporary.
Yeah,
that's a good
yeah.
idea.
And so what I started doing is I started putting that on my title slide.
Mhm.
So when they look at it initially, they already know that that is not the final voice.
Exactly. That's what I do. Big fat label. This is a temporary audio. Please don't
Yeah, exactly.
give me feedback.
Please don't freak out.
Yeah, it's not fun when they freak out and come back at you and then
Right.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Well, see, I learned something new. Thank you guys. That's a really good idea. Very cool. All right. Let's move on. All right. So, what we'll do is save the PowerPoint as PNG in the file type. And it's going to give a little pop-up that says, which do you want to save? All the slides or just this one? So if you're using videos as your slide design, then you're going to choose just this one. And what I do is I create a blank image file from PowerPoint, just a blank one. And that will be my background in Camtasia. And then the videos will nest on top of it. And I'll show that process here in a second. But yeah, so I choose just this one. Now, if you were going to use all your slides, then you would choose all slides instead. It just depends on what kind of presentation you're putting together. Now, let me open up another PowerPoint. Let's see if we can do this and share and chew gum all at the same time. Okay. So I have a sample project that I am using. And I don't know if you can see this. No, I don't think you can. So let me change the sharing. And I'm going to share my screen actually. Okay. So hopefully you can see this now.
We can.
Perfect. So this would be like my blank slide that I would save as a PNG for videos that are going to sit on top of it. We have some pre-designed slides that we are supposed to use that the IRS has pre-formatted for us. So this is one of them, the little flag on the top with the IRS logo. And then this was Shots 1.0, where I had just still images, a little title slide at the top. And let me get this out of the way. There we go. And it's just some nice graphics. We get our graphics. We have actually a couple subscriptions. One's to eLearning Brothers. They have a lot of stock photos and videos actually, and music too. Also Getty Images as well. We have a subscription with IRS with them as well. And then like a resources slide at the end. But this is like I said, Shots 1.0, where I would just do still images, the narration. Let me pull this upwards. There we go. So there's my narration on the slides. And that is how we would produce this video. And again, it was already approved, etc. But in this case, I'm going to save just this slide that I'm on. So I'll go to File, Save As, and then change it from PowerPoint to PNG. And then hit Save. And it says already exists. You want to, yes, I'm going to overwrite it. Actually, I'm going to cancel. I'm going to change this. I'll change this to blank slide. How about that? So it doesn't overwrite. Save. And then get that pop up. Which slides? Just this one. And then on my folder, I now have blank slide.png. Or if I was going to do all of them, then it would save all of them into a folder with the same name as my PowerPoint file name. So it's pretty cool, pretty quick, pretty easy to produce that. Then you go over here. So that's the first step. That is our first step. Any questions on saving your slides in PowerPoint as individual files?
I think you ought to mention why, because you can import those suckers into Camtasia, but you don't want to do it that way.
Right. Exactly right. You can also record the slides in Camtasia or in PowerPoint. There's an add-on that is a Camtasia add-on in PowerPoint. When you get Camtasia installed, it automatically adds itself into PowerPoint. But it's not it's not as easy. I don't like it. I don't like that process personally.
It reduces the quality of the images terribly.
Yeah. Excellent point. And you're trying to narrate and it's just clunky. And if your animations are off, I just don't like it. I just don't. If I'm going to do like and I've done this multiple times, but like multiple images on a slide that are going to come in one after another, or like that smart art, like my points bulleted, not bulleted, I don't use bullets, but you get what I'm saying. My points are going to stagger in or fade in one at a time as I mention them in the narration. Then I'll take that one slide that has all the points and then I'll break it up, duplicate it into like 4 or 5, however many I need, and then I'll just wipe them off each slide at a time. And then those slides are saved and I bring all those slides into Camtasia and do all that crossfade work in Camtasia. Honestly, it's just, that's to me, it's easier. It may not sound like it, but to me it is. Any other questions or thoughts on that? All right. And hopefully when you see the process in completion, you'll get how I do it. Now, question for everybody is, what audio issues can cause distractions when you're viewing videos? Or what audio issues have you run across when viewing videos? This could be YouTube, it could be in your own work. Kim says music too loud. Yeah.
Weird noise in the background.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Somebody's dog snoring. Jets are flying overhead, which mine happens all the time. Pops and clicks. Oh yeah. Echoey sounds. So true. A lot of audio lags. Oh, the S's, the hissers. Yep. Garbled speech. Yeah. Or heavy accents. Like I can't understand what they're saying. Right? Speaking too quickly? Absolutely. Or monotonously. Oh man, I hate listening to people that are so monotonous. You're like, I've fallen asleep and it's only been 8 seconds. Yeah. What I tell my training classes is audio will make or break any video. If you have bad audio, I don't care what your topic's on. Nobody's going to listen to it. They're going to click off of it and they're going to go find information elsewhere. And then your video is going to be labeled as garbage because the audio is bad. So you've got to do extra effort to make sure your audio is as clean as possible.
You can always have standalone audio, but you can't have standalone video.
Right. That is true. That's a good point. Unless you have a bunch of pop-ups like Captivate, and I'm sorry, but people don't like to read anymore. All right. So there's a few things you really need to do before you start recording. You got to find a quiet space, obviously. I mean, that's like critical. And it's amazing how noisy your space becomes when you go to hit that record button. Like noises you've never heard before. All of a sudden you're like, why is that clock ticking so loudly? Or like, who is mowing their lawn across the street? Like, I'm just the littlest noises. Or and one time my wife started the dryer and I'm like, what is in there that's clanking around? It's like some zipper or something. Because my office is not too far from the laundry. Things like that. Or the air conditioner kicks on or the heater kicks on and you're like, sounds like I'm in a wind tunnel all of a sudden. So many things can affect noise and become noisy in your recording space. So you got to find a way to eliminate those noises as best as possible. It's put a noise reducer in front of your computer. Yeah, like a sound screen. Yeah, that can definitely help. Kim says she records in her closet. I've heard this from multiple people. Also, if you're in a room where you have a lot of bare walls or windows, guess what sound loves to do? It loves to bounce off of bare walls and windows. And so you can get that echoey effect, that reverb, exactly. So in your closet, you're surrounded by sound dampening material in your clothes. So that's why recording in your closet is actually a really good space to do, especially if you don't want to start nailing up egg crate, foam material all over your walls that just looks so pretty and is not tacky at all. So yeah, there's lots of things you can do. One thing I've actually done is I bought some command hooks and hung a blanket on the largest wall behind me to help with sound bouncing off, and I'm not ruining the walls. And it's just a blanket that's hanging on the wall with command hooks. That actually works out really nice.
What about microphones?
Yeah, I just saw Hades' comment. Yeah, absolutely. So I use the Blue Snowball Yeti, and it has the ability to control what direction it records in. That is a great microphone. See Yeti. It's awesome. It's a really, really good microphone. And yeah, it's a little pricey. It's about $100, but yeah. But it works out really nicely. And then I like to record either early morning or at night. Because again, the neighbor's dog isn't barking. The F-16s near Hill Air Force Base, because I'm here in Utah. I literally built my house 2 years ago and ended up building right underneath the flight path of the F-16s. And so you probably heard it maybe a little bit earlier in the presentation. I kid you not, every time I go to present or talk in a meeting, jets fly overhead. And I'm like, seriously? I mean, it's the sound of freedom, so I'm not too bothered by it. But when you go to record, it is not cool. Like, I want to put a big neon sign on my roof, like, recording, fly somewhere else. That would be awesome. They probably wouldn't care, or they'd probably hit their afterburners just to get at me. Those silly pilots. Turn off your phone. Put your email, your Skype, your Teams, your Zoom, whatever it is, on Do Not Disturb. Those little pop-up messages when you're recording your screen live, not fun. The little sounds that can maybe come out of your computer when you're right in the middle of recording, annoying. So turn those things off. That will definitely help. And you got to be comfortable. You got to get in a comfortable position. If you're craning your neck to see the screen and then record at the same time, or you can't get a full breath because you're like hunched over trying to get closer to the mic, all these things can just make your volume or your audio not sound the best it can be. Yeah, yeah. I actually got to see some Blue Angels once, and that was amazing. I was at Indian Springs Air Force Base back when I used to live in Las Vegas, and that was awesome. Helicopters, oh geez, yeah, I'm telling you. And those noises carry for quite some distance, so you have to like wait and wait and wait and wait and wait for the sound to go away. It's good times. All right. And a pop filter. Depending on the type of microphone you have, a pop filter can be very good. Helps eliminate those plosives, those hard P's and T's. You don't want to blow people's ears out. That's not fun. So a pop filter can help with that immensely. So yeah. Now I have some fun examples, some samples I wanted to share with y'all. So let me get to this. There we go. And so this is a comparison between recording with your headset and recording with the Yeti. And hopefully you can let me know if you can hear this. Here's what my audio can sound like using a headphone. It sounds okay because I'm using a good quality headphone. However, using a high quality microphone like the Blue Yeti, you can tell there's a huge difference in voice quality, tone, and richness. Were you guys able to hear that?
Hear what?
Russ,
Beat me to it.
Yes.
That is it. I have had it.
So
Excellent.
the microphone is called the Blue Yeti?
Yes. Blue's the company.
Or
I
Yeti.
think, and Yeti's the brand of microphone.
Oh, nice.
Or the type of microphone. But actually, the last time I got the microphone, it was actually Logitech, I believe, is who's producing it now. At least that's what was on the label when I opened the box. It said Logitech Yeti. I'm like, huh, interesting.
Oh wow, they bought them.
I guess so. Yeah.
One thing I would say is I'm cheap about a lot of things in life, but I tried get a cheap condenser mic once and it sucked.
Uh-huh.
I would go name brand on that sucker because you get terrible. I mean, the one I got had terrible feedback.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And be careful with these microphones. They are fragile. One of my kids dropped it off my computer, off my desk, broke it, completely ruined. So be very, very careful with them. I will say that too. Here's another audio sample of some issues. This is how it could sound if you have other background noises going on in your room. In this case, my air conditioning has just kicked on. Trying to remove this noise out of your audio can make your voice sound tinny or hollow. This is what. So yeah, and somebody said wind tunnel. Exactly. Yeah, it's so much better to not try to have to take out that noise when you can record without the noise. So do yourself a favor and save some work. Now, I am going to warn you, this one's going to be a little loud, but that's the point. So watch your ears. This is what it looks like when you speak too loudly or too close to the microphone. It often causes distortion, and there's nothing you can do to fix this. You can tell I had some fun preparing for this class. But do you guys hear that distortion? That like it was so loud it like scattered a little bit at the high end. Yeah, there's no fixing. There's no way to fix that. You can lower the volume all you want. That staticky distortion still going to be there. It got recorded that way through the microphone, and you're stuck. You're going to have to re-record. There's no other way around it. Sorry, I did not mean to hurt your ears. I tried to warn y'all.
The best way of doing this then, Kelly, is to do some sampling ahead of time before you start the real recording and just see, and then play it back and listen to yourself and see what's actually happening in your room and to your voice.
Absolutely. Exactly right. And you beat me to the punch, but yes, exactly right. You gotta preview your sound before you actually record for reals. Absolutely. This is the last sample I have. This is an example of audio that's too low. Either I'm too far away from the microphone, or I'm speaking too quietly, or the gain, or the microphone gain is not up enough. Okay. So that was obviously too quiet. That one you can fix. That one you can boost the audio, the volume in your audio editing software. So that one's okay. It's just again, extra work that you have to do to fix it.
Yeah, Kelly, this is Sandy. Can I jump in with a quick question?
Sure, absolutely, please.
This is so interesting that you're doing this. So you're doing all this recording on your own, or do you have a team who's there that can, because you have that higher quality video. So I guess we do have recording studios here because we develop a lot of our own language learning programs and, pronunciation, and it's really important. The quality is good. And the teachers go in and have this extra multimedia support. So hopefully that alleviates part of the problem, but I know you don't always have that. So I guess that's
right.
Question.
No, the answer quick answer is no. I don't have a team helping me. That would be fun, but no, it's all on my own in my office.
Awesome.
On my desktop. I actually put my microphone inside a empty Amazon box. That's
we did enough. That.
Yep.
Yes.
And then I actually even put a blanket over top of the box.
Yep.
That also helps as that pop filter and just helps keep any weird noises from bouncing back into the microphone.
Yeah, we've done that when we've had to actually, you can make makeshift, and the teachers would take whatever they needed to record back to their offices because the studio was booked, and exactly that but we got some kind of sound canceling material to put inside the box. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. There's all kinds of fun ways, DIY to make a sound box. Like I said, I just went cheap and easy, box and a blanket. Just drape it over the top of it and in front of it. Audio sounds great. Big training budget. Exactly right. And I like what Hattie said earlier. She said you can boost the volume of local audio, but a lot of times you're also going to be boosting any noise that was recorded with that low audio. So now you have this huge, loud background noise. And that's fun to try to fix and get out of there as well. So excellent point. This is a great group. You guys are awesome. You're on it. I love this. So recording, when you are recording, here's some tips. Make mistakes. Make mistakes. Don't try to do a perfect take. You're going to just drive yourself insane trying to do a perfect take. We are not professional actors. Professional actors have blooper reels for a reason, because they make mistakes. We are not professional actors. You should not be expected to do a perfect take every time. It's not feasible. It takes up more time than it's worth, because you're re-recording. Seriously, no, stop it. Don't do it. Make mistakes. Do different takes. You're going to edit those out later, so don't worry about it. So like I said, record multiple takes. So if you mess up, just go back a few words and say it again. And if you mess up on that one, then say it again. Like 2 or 3 takes. Who cares? And somebody gave me a tip once that when they do a new take, they'll click into the microphone and it will make a little quick sharp spike in the audio file. And then they can see where their takes are. Kind of an interesting way of knowing where you messed up and where your next take is. So that's kind of fun. And then speak past the mic. Don't try to speak directly into it. That's where you get those plosives a lot of times. Clap. You can do that too. Or clear your throat. Yep. And speak past the mic though, because your voice is still going to sound great, but it eliminates those popping P's and T's. Because your voice is not directly into the microphone. Just speak past it. Easy. All right. Oh, and then smile. Sounds silly, but honestly, it changes the tone of your voice. If you're smiling while you're narrating, it really does make a difference. All right. So now it's time to record your narration script. It's always best to read the script out loud first before you record. Anybody tell me why reading it out loud before you record might be beneficial? And you can come off mute. Anyone? Reading it out loud, why would that be beneficial? Blair,
Because it's
yeah.
practice.
Yeah, practice, right? Absolutely. You trying to read a script dry.
I was just putting in there that I like to talk to myself in a mirror. So in my closet, I have a mirror hanging, excuse me. And it's like I have a conversation with myself. And that really
Nice.
makes the tone more conversational as opposed to monotone reading.
That's an excellent point. Other people might think you're a little nuts, but no, I totally get it.
It's okay. I'm the only one that sees it.
No, I like that. That's fun. I've even heard people put a picture of their kids, their dog, whatever, on the monitor and pretend like they're talking to that person, so they can keep that conversational tone. I was like, huh, that's a kind of good idea too.
Patty's got her hand up.
If you're not going to actually practice the script, you know, I mean, if you're not going to do vocal warm-ups, then just at least practice the script, because if you've been sitting there hacking out curriculum all night and day, and then you say, I'm going to record this, you're going to start coughing and choking and doing all those things because you've been sitting here silent all this time, and now you expect your vocal cords to suddenly work. They're not going to work that way. There are actor warm-ups you can do as well, which do make people think you're crazy, but you know, I just kind of roll with it.
La 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 la. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You find places where you can pause, add a dash. Somebody mentioned
Yes.
sentences that don't make sense. Things are really awkward to read. Sentences that are way, way too long. So there's so many reasons to read that script and read it. I mean, even for the script where I started today, I think I read it 3 times before I, went through it with you all. So
Right. Right.
I think I read that script 100 times. Well, maybe not, but it's getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Marty said pronunciations, excellent. Very good point. Tongue twisters, absolutely. Acronyms, knowing how to say it. You may have to double check with your customer and say, how do I say this? Like, what's the proper, like IRM or like those types of things. Absolutely.
And watch out for
Uh,
SMEs if you have a geographically dispersed population, because some of them are like, yeah, we say it this
uh-huh.
way. And then you record it
Uh-huh.
and you find out, oh yeah, they only
The
do that
rest
in
of the
this certain
nation,
region.
right?
Exactly.
Hmm.
And you got to re-record everything.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yep. There's so much work that goes into these videos that people just have no clue that we have to go through to make a video sound and look good. They say, oh, it's only a 2-3 minute video. That should be quick. And then that's when you want to slap them beside the head. It's kind of fun. Yeah. And then, let me go to this next question. How many of you love the sound of your own recorded voice?
No, I don't like it at all. I always feel like I ought to be a cartoon character, doing Frozen or something.
There's nothing worse. Yeah, nobody does. Nobody does. Does anybody know why?
I don't prefer the sound of my recorded voice. However, when I do record, I don't even sound like me.
Nice. That was good. That was impressive. Yeah, there's a reason why we don't like the sound of our recorded voice. And that is, since day one, any sound we make out our mouth is traveled through the bones in our face to our eardrums. Like, that's how we hear ourselves, is through the bones in our head into our eardrum. Bones are dense. It changes the sound of wavelengths as it travels through the bones in our head. And so our voice sounds deeper, richer, fuller to ourselves. Then when you record, audio wave goes through air, which is not dense, and gets picked up by the microphone. And it's how everyone else in the world hears you, except for yourself. And so they're used to you and your voice because that's how they know you. And so, but when you listen to yourself, it sounds like somebody else because it's not going through your ear anymore, the bones in your head, it's going through the air. And so you just have to learn to love your voice because everybody else does and everybody else knows it. And that's how they know you. So it's not easy, but that is the reason that our voices sound a lot different to everyone else. Just a little science there. And then when you go to record, when you go to save your recording, that is, I highly recommend WAV files. WAV files, mainly because they're uncompressed audio. They are a little bit larger file size, but in the end, it's the quality we're going after, really. If you try to record or save as M4A or MP3, those audio files are compressed. And when you go to publish in Camtasia, audio files are then compressed again. And so now you're double compressing your audio. Just doesn't sound good. Doesn't sound nearly as clean as it would using the WAV file that's uncompressed. And then when it's compressed by Camtasia, not a big deal. Yep. See, Camtasia will compress it for you. So you don't want to double compress your audio files. That's basically what I'm trying to get at here. Okay. So for the fun of it, I'm going to let you all try to record. If you have a recording app open, awesome. If you don't, or you have one installed, great. If you don't, you can get, like I use Audition. It's already included. IRS already pays for it. So we use it. You can use Audacity. It's free. It's a good audio editing and recording software. There's some app like GarageBand, things like that. Or you can use Voice Recorder even in Windows, which is included in everybody's Windows if you have Windows. but it only saves as M4A, just so you know. So don't try to use it for recordings in reality for a project, but for this class, I'll allow it. Now, the other thing I wanted to show is this. So this is a sample script of an EDI, equity, diversity, inclusion, that I'm going to be producing for this class. And let's see. All right. I have to speed. Wow, I can't believe it's already been 1 hour and 20 minutes. The time is flying by. Okay, I'm going to speed things up a little bit. So I'm going to open up Audition on my machine. There it is. All right. If you've never used Audition before, I love it. It's a really good program. The first thing I'm going to do, literally, is hit the record button at the bottom. Also, let me rephrase that. The level meter, if you double click on it, it will give you a preview of your levels visually. So you can see if I'm too loud or if I get too close, then it's going into the red. We don't want that. So I'll back off. I can change the gain, as somebody mentioned, on the back of the Yeti. But this is a pretty good average level. I usually like my audio around this -9 decibel range. That's usually a really good level for narration. So that's, yeah, you can just double click on that and it'll just start showing you what your levels are. Then I'm going to go ahead and record, and it's going to give this little pop-up. And I'm going to leave it, say, Untitled 1. I could change it one if I wanted to, but I'm going to do that later. The first time you do it, it may show stereo for the channels. We're not recording with 2 microphones, so I'm going to change this to mono because we're only using 1 microphone. And bit depth 32 is a good bit depth. It's really good, actually. And then when I say okay, it's literally going to start recording me. So what I would do is I'm going to switch over to my narration. Many people avoid confrontations. If you feel uncomfortable with initiating uncomfortable conversations, it may be helpful to focus on the issue rather than focus on the person. I'm going to stop the recording. And the spacebar is a very good tool with Audition. It will stop recording, it'll play, it'll pause. I use the spacebar all the time. Now, did anybody hear anything that sounded weird with my narration that I just recorded?
Sounded like your recording voice and not your normal speaking voice.
It is my recording voice. You're exactly right. But right here, it didn't sound natural. Rather than focus on the person, it really should be focusing on the person.
Mm.
So if I would have read this out loud, I would have caught that and would not have to re-record that part. So I'm going to come back to Audition, and I'm going to go ahead and just delete it all, from scratch and start over again.
Hey, Kelly,
Yes.
if that were me, I would get rid of the second focus because it's kind of a redundant word. I would say focus on the issue rather than the person.
See how you are? Excellent. I like that.
Then you don't even need that piece. Yep.
Perfect. Excellent. See, the guy tells you guys are awesome. All right, let me record this again. Many people avoid confrontations. If you feel uncomfortable with initiating uncomfortable conversations, it may be helpful to focus on the issue rather than the person. Did anybody notice anything weird about that recording just now?
Yeah, you messed up.
I did mess up. Now I messed up on purpose, I promise. But I wanted to demonstrate that it's okay to make mistakes. Just keep going. And I sang to myself for a second. I don't know why I did that. So obviously I don't want these in here. I'm going to leave the mistakes in. I don't, at this point, the way I work in like a factory mode. So I record that first slide with mistakes and all, and then I'm going to go ahead and save it. So I'm going to do File, Save As, because right now it's untitled. And I'm going to call this slide 1. And I'm going to browse to where my audio file is. I'm going to make a new one, just like a temporary one, because I've already recorded all these slides last night. Temp, save. Oh, and it's wave. You see the format is wave. And say OK. And then what I do is I actually select the entire thing and I delete it. So I start from scratch. And then I'll go ahead and record. People may also become defensive when they perceive you. See, yeah, I should fix that. People may also become defensive when they perceive that you don't respect them or you're not concerned about their best interests. It is critical that they feel safe and respected. Okay, so I got that slide. So now I'm going to go back to File, Save As again, and this time I'm just going to change that 1 to a 2. And then I've got my second audio file. Now, as mentioned, you could just keep recording the whole thing, all 7 slides. You could definitely do that, absolutely. But for me, it's too much for me to like get my mind to edit and trying to find where my splits are. So again, personal preference, but for me, I like having the individual files. So, okay. And so you snap on your splits. Yeah, I can see that. And then what I would do, I'm going to actually bring in, once I have all my files, is bring all these files in to Audition and close this one. All right. So here's my audio that I recorded last night. And if you have background noise, super easy to remove. You just highlight a small chunk of non-speaking or non-breathing noise that's just pure background noise. You're gonna right-click in in Audition and do Capture Noise Print. And then you're going to come up to, and let me see this out of the way, Effects, Noise Reduction Process. And actually, this is a bad one to choose. So I need to actually bring in my other one from the temp because I already cleaned these up last night. So let me bring these 2 over. Why did it not do that? Try this again. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So first of all, my volume is a little on the low side. So one of the best things you can ever use in Audition is this heads-up display. This thing is awesome. It's just basically a volume control. I'm going to actually bring it up so that the average of my peaks is between this -6 and -9 decibel range. So average is right about there. And I'm going to adjust that for all my audio files. Somebody said normalize. You could normalize, but I'm more hands-on control freak. So I like to control my audio myself.
Right. And you can also batch those adjustments.
Yes, you absolutely can. I wasn't going to go into batching because that's even more information. And again, I try not to do TMI too much. But yes, you absolutely can do batching. Yeah, so once you have your levels at the area that you want them, the next part, like I said before, is to get that background noise. So right here, you can hear that hiss. Let's see, yeah. So I don't want that hiss. So I'm going to, again, capture, highlight a small chunk. You don't need a lot. Capture noise print. I'm going to select the entire thing, effects, noise reduction, process. And see, this is the noise that it captured. All you have to do on this screen, all you have to do is hit apply. That's it. And now, if I highlight this area that was noise and play it, it's much, much less. So it's really a good application. The next thing I'm going to do with my audio, once I have them all recorded, is another noise reduction thing that you may not realize, but our tongues make all kinds of weird clicks and noises and ticks, and you're like, what is happening right now? And when you listen to your audio back, why is my tongue doing that? I've never heard that before in my life, and apparently I'm a tongue clicker. It is real annoying, and I hate it. But Audition knows that, and under effects and noise reduction, it's got this automatic click remover, just for that reason. Now mine, I do a custom. I like my threshold around 15-ish, complexity around 85. That's kind of what works well for my voice and my tongue. I hit apply, and it doesn't look like much changed, but it really does smooth out, and it doesn't eliminate all the clicks, but it makes them less harsh and really smooths them out pretty nicely. So that I will do. The other thing that I'll do is, since I already know that works well for my voice, is I'll go back into Click Remover, and there's an option to save this current setting as a favorite. So then what I'll do is, under favorites, where did I put it? Oh, maybe I didn't add it yet. Yeah, let me do that. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to add this. I'm going to call it Click Remover. Say OK. And now, under favorites, there it is, Click Remover. So I can just simply go into my next one, highlight it, favorites, Click Remover, and it does that setting automatically. So that's a really nice feature with Audition. The next thing I'm going to do is go through and edit the actual audio. So I'm going to go and highlight, and I'm going to silence. I could delete, but I'm going to silence the noise using my HUD, my heads-up display. Click and drag straight down until you get that minus 96 decibel, and as pure unadulterated silence. And then I can delete just a little bit. I do want a little bit of lead in to my speaking, so I do leave a little bit of a pause there. And then zooming in is really cool. Just with your mouse, scroll forwards, and it'll scroll wherever your mouse is at. So wherever you don't even have to, not even the cursor, just wherever my mouse is hovering, it'll zoom in on that location. But right here, I can see there's a little bit of noise here. So I'm going to play this. If you feel, and I can just silence that out just because I'm, again, very controlling. Confrontations. If you feel uncomfortable with initiating uncomfortable conversations, there's a big breath sound. Yeah, and I have a cold, so it's even more like worse. It may be helpful. I don't know why I got so loud right here. So I'm going to bring that down just a little bit. That normalized would have done that for me, but anyway, I digress. And I know that these two are mistakes, and that is a breath sound right there. So I'm going to cover all of that and silence it. And then I can control the pause between sentences. So always play your edits. Always play your edits. Conversations. It may be helpful to focus on the issue rather than the person. Okay. And then the end, silence that. Take out a little bit so there's a little lead out. And there's my finished slide narration. Save it, and it's ready to go. And that's what I do with every single slide file that I have open. I'll go through, And I'll, like I said, almost like a manual batch, I'll go through and do the noise reduction, do the click remover, and then edit and clean out. Now you want to be careful that you don't over edit. So in this case, I have a bunch of mistakes I had on this slide. I'm going to silence those. Try to remain neutral and okay. Next. Yeah, next. All right. Don't want to cut out that next. Delete. She likes single file. It's fair. That's fair. Try to remain. All right. Did you hear that little click right here? Try to remain. Yeah, that's my tongue. Don't know why. So I'm going to eliminate that. And then any other noises I have. But you want to be careful, like I said, that you don't over edit or under edit, because you don't want to sound like you're racing through the content. You want to make it sound as natural as possible. So that is what I would do with all my audio in Audition. Any questions?
Kelly,
on that?
I have a question.
Yes.
Regarding completely silencing out pauses.
Mhm.
You know, I've had audio pieces in the past where you absolutely cannot get rid of all the background noise. You know, sometimes you're just going to have files that you have to accept. And silencing out actually kind of makes a very strange break in between, because you never really have silence in your audio. You know what I mean? So one thing that we've done in the past is we do fades so that it fades in and out, as opposed to a really abrupt break in the sound.
I would. I've never done that. You could do that. My feeling is that it is maybe a little more work to do the fades rather than just silence, move on, silence. But what we do, because I can see what you're saying, especially if you're in between sentences where you have a breath sound and you're silencing out that breath sound. The good thing about breath sounds is that they carry noise. So it carries, mid-sentence to the next part of the sentence. When you silence out that breath sound, then it sounds like this weird, awkward pause. So what we do is we edit that to make it sound natural and conversational. And if you are angry, take time to like that. That was a pause in the middle of a sentence. So I'm just going to edit this down so that there's a natural pause. And if you are angry, take time to calm down. So even though there's silence there, it doesn't sound awkward, right? Like I don't think it sounds awkward. It's just me speaking. And if you are angry, take time to calm down. So there's another breath sound right there. I'll silence it. And then if this is the end of a sentence, calm down so that your anger does not. Yep. No, so that's, I can take that out and make it more calm natural. Down so that your anger does not distort your beliefs about their character or. Same thing here. Silence that. And then this is or. So it's still part of the sentence about their character or motivation. There we go.
Kelly, could you go back to your the script?
Yeah.
Because there's something I wanted to mention here. If you, I don't know how wide that is. It looks like about 4.5, 5, maybe 6 inches wide, but it's in really large type. One of the things that I always do is I use a column that's only like 2.5 to 3 inches wide, because your eye only takes in one glance for that to be able to read it. And then the next glance is for the next line and so forth, as opposed to doing 2 or 3 glances across one line. So it helps you keep the pace up. And if you've read through it a couple of times, it also helps you add in where you want the space, but not so much that you have to edit extensively.
Right.
So I also use very large type. I never use caps totally.
Oh, yeah.
They use caps in lowercase. It's harder to read all caps because when we learn to read with ascenders and descenders, and caps remove all of that. So you don't have a physical way for your eye to look at something. So I just wanted to mention that because it really helps, particularly if you're a novice.
Right.
It helps to read like this, and it's not like you're in first grade trying to read across Dick and Jane.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you for sharing that. I agree. So I wanted to move on.
You've got about 20 minutes left.
Exactly. I know this is gonna be really, really fast. So now we're gonna move into Camtasia. And the first thing I'm gonna do is what I've done is I've created a series of templates. And so this is a template project. And what I mean by template is I have this opening. So I'll play this. So if you see, it's got some music, it's got the title, it's got my logo of the shots videos, and then it slides out. It's about 7 seconds long, and then at the end, I have a thanks. Again, with the logo and just a simple thanks for watching. Lets them know the video's over. I have a series of different types of templates. So spinning laptop, there's a lower thirds. There's another one that we like to use. And this way, the shots developers don't have to recreate the intros and the ending on every single video. It's just extra work that they don't need to do. They can come into the title and double click on the text, and it's just a grouped object, and they can then change the title text. So EDI, and then this one is initiating difficult conversations. And I'm going to shrink this down. Let me, there we go, more centered. There we go. And so there we go. So all I had to do is update the title text, and this is now set up. And then let me save that. And then I'll bring in my audio files. Into the media bin. And then I'm going to select my audio files, because you have to put it in here, and then drag it to track 2, because that's where I like to put my audio, is track 2. And I'll move that out to the end. So here's my audio files. And then I'm going to bring in that still image that I had created. And there it is, blank slide.png. Bring that in. And then I'm going to bring that down into track 1, because that's where my visuals go. And it's just a still image. So I'm going to stretch it to the entire length of my project. And there it is. There's that blank slide that I created and saved out of PowerPoint. So that's my background. That's my backdrop. And then finally, I'm going to bring in my videos. And I actually went ahead and found videos that I felt would work well with this course, this shots video, not a course. And I've labeled them per the slide that I feel like they would fit with. And so these are, again, are stock images. I want to mention that these are stock images from Getty Images that IRS has a subscription service with. So there's no, hopefully, copyright issues, because we did download these legally for this training video purpose. And then I'm going to bring these videos. Actually, I'm just going to bring them one at a time. So slide 1. Oops. There we go. And you can see that this video actually overlays or goes further than the audio does. So I actually am gonna, you can shrink it, but I actually like using the clip speed option instead. So I'm gonna add a clip speed, and then I can drag that clip speed to the edge of the audio, and so the whole video is included in that piece. And I'll do that with track 2. Now this one is too short, Same thing though, I'm going to add a clip speed. Where is it? There it is. And I'm going to stretch it to match the length of my audio. And I'm just going to keep doing that for all the slides. And you have to be careful on some of these videos because they may have audio included with them. That happened once. I'm like playing the video after I published it, and I'm like, why in the world is there all this weird sound in the background? And it was because the video clip itself was had audio, and I was like, that's not right. So that was kind of weird to have to deal with. And 6. That was pretty close actually. And 7. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to minimize or shrink the video to fit in line, center it. So with my background, so it's not covering up my background. Obviously I still want the background in there. And there's the F-16s flying overhead, as I mentioned before. And actually what I could have done, I probably should have just done that. I'll do that for the next one, is you can actually select multiple objects and shrink them all at once. Should have just done that. There we go. So now if I look at this one, it's shrunk and centered. That one's shrunk and centered. That one's shrunk and centered. There we go. That would have been a lot faster. Sorry about that. Once I have my videos in here, the next thing I'm going to add is a transition. And the only transition I ever use in Camtasia is the fade. We're not making wedding videos. Like, it's not, these other transitions really are unnecessary. Just a simple fade is honestly all you really ever need. And I'm going to do a fade between each of the videos. And there we go. So a little crossfade between each of the videos. Not my main background, because that's going to stay, and you don't want the main background fading in and out. That's just going to look weird. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of my videos. Oops, and then I'm going to select my background, and I'm going to group them into one group, so that now I can do a fade between my intro and the video, and the end of the video, and the end, the thanks for watching. And it's really that quick and easy. I mean, the longest, hardest part of making these information sharing presentation videos is the storyboarding, getting the approvals, finding videos that relate to the narration, recording the narration. But when you got all that together, slapping it together, super quick, as you just saw. And so I'm going to play it so you can kind of see the result. Many people avoid confrontations. If you feel uncomfortable with initiating uncomfortable conversations, it may be helpful to focus on the issue rather than focusing on the person. People may also become defensive when they perceive that you don't respect them or you are not concerned about their best interests. It is critical that they feel safe and respected. Before you begin the conversation, prepare yourself to help stay on track. First, try to condense the problem into a single statement. Then, determine whether the issue is a single occurrence or an ongoing pattern. So obviously some of these I was going to edit today, but we ran out of time. So, but hopefully you can get the gist. This is what I mean, like, there's a Shots 2.0, is that we have these videos. I need to center this one. Oh, I have to open the group first and center it. There we go. I just noticed that. But
you have the 2.0 videos out yet to know if there's a difference in response or engagement?
yes, actually, we've done many of these types of video-based videos, and the customers love them, love them. They're like, this is so much more engaging, and it draws me in, and it really makes me want to pay attention, even more so than just a series of still images.
Mhm.
It really does make an impact. Now, like I said, there may be some times where there is an infographic they need displayed. No problem. You just splice that in, put in the infographic, you're good to go. Or an image that they really want displayed. Then you bring that image in, you lay it on top of that background image, and you're good to go. And put the crossfade, and no problem. I've done that too, where it's a combination of videos and still images. And if the still image feels like it's sitting too long, then sometimes what I'll do is I will add a little animation to that video, or to that image, that still image, so it looks like it's zooming in slowly. And you see that all the time in the news, where there's a still image, they always have some sort of movement happening on that still image. It's moving in, zooming out, whatever the case may be. There's always movement in the news. So if you ever watch the news, you're like, oh yeah, I can see the zoom. That's why they're doing that, because they want something visually happening all the time. So that's something also that we'll do if we have a still image and maybe the narration's a little long in the tooth, then we'll add that little animation to that still image to make it move and have movement. Ken Burns effect. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, these are the fun projects, I would say, because the editing work in Camtasia is like nothing. It's so simple, as you can see. I mean, I literally slapped this together in 5 minutes. Some good sources for stock videos, free stock videos, I don't know. That is a great question. But for, like I said, Getty Images and eLearning Brothers, they both have a broad range of stock photos and videos and music. So if you can get a subscription service to them, I recommend it. But there are some free stuff out there, but I always worry with the whole, is it really free, or is it that somebody just put it out there as free, but it's really not? So yeah, I always worry about that. And then once I'm done, I'll publish, export to a local file, MP4. And then I have some presets that I like to do, encoding especially. I usually keep it at 60% quality rate. And then audio, I always go, oh no, oh, that's terrible. So on previous versions of Camtasia, it allowed you to do a bit rate of 320, which is like CD quality, like really, really good MP4 quality. And it looks like with the newer version of Camtasia, they've taken that out. It's no longer available. The best you can do is 192. That's unfortunate. That's really sad. I don't know why Camtasia would do that. So that even makes it even more important to have good quality audio and a WAV file to start out with, because you can't even do 320 anymore with the new version of Camtasia. That stinks. Anyway, I know we have 6 minutes left, so that is really the bulk of my workshop today. I unfortunately was going to give you all some extra time to practice on your own, but I do have this PowerPoint put together that talks about everything I just went through. Replacing the audio, stretching with the clip speed, adding the fades, grouping it, adding any annotations that you might need, and then exporting it. So I'd like to thank you all that were able to stay with me for this presentation. I hope you found the information informative. Maybe you picked up some new things, new ideas. Hopefully you agree that having these quick short videos is really beneficial to our employees, Our employees love it. We are averaging about 30,000 views per month of our internal employees. We have about 84,000 internal employees. It's awesome. We have our own centralized shots library, again on SharePoint, that's searchable. Uses Stream to play back. They're all closed captioned. Yeah, it's been a huge success, and as was mentioned by Carla, won some awards for it. And my whole goal and purpose is to make our employees' jobs easier and more efficient and more effective when you want to learn something on demand. We all do it already outside of work. We all go to YouTube. Doesn't matter age, sex, gender, it doesn't matter. We all go to YouTube to learn something, to fix something, to make a new recipe, whatever it is, outside of work. But if you don't have an internal library repository, obviously there's nothing for people to access or to find. So if it takes getting started, it takes making some videos on something that is a enterprise-wide application or system or process, and getting it out there and letting your employees find out about it. And that word of mouth, just like with me, it's going to start like wildfire, just like it did with us at the IRS. So any questions?
Do you ever use any of the parametric equalizers or any of the compressions in Audition?
I honestly don't. No. The only thing I'll ever use is like the amplitude settings. I might change like the bass if I want to sound more Barry Whitish. So I might play with that a little bit, but usually not.
Yeah, about that. Can't stand the sound of my own voice, but I love it when I use the enhancers. Basically, I Photoshop my voice.
That's funny. That's funny. I like that. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, then I'll turn it back over to Russ and Carla.
Okay, Kelly, thank you so much. You mentioned the slide stack. Did you want to send that to us and we can post it, or what?
Yeah, I can email it to you.
Okay, that way we can put it on our website or make it available in some way and download it. It's such an interesting presentation. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for putting this together. And we know you didn't feel very well. You said you caught a cold last week.
Yeah,
so appreciate you struggling through, but I think you did a great job despite those planes flying overhead. They were they really are major.
I told you.
Really are. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Kelly. We do appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us today and being with us. I wanted to mention that we have an upcoming session in November. Sandy. Things are. Russ, thank you again for everything that you do for us. Zoom, we appreciate it so much. That concludes our meeting, our webinar, and our workshop for today. Thank you for being with us. Good night.